Yeah, how are
everyone.
you
Good
doing?
evening. I am doing super awesome. How are you, Smita?
Yeah, doing good. Thank you so much. So Srushti is Microsoft MVP, and Srushti is going to share today about she is going to talk about the quality first, that how we can evaluate, improve, and scale the AI agents in a Copilot studio. Srushti, is it okay if we start the recording of your session?
Sure, sure. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
thank
please.
you so
Just
much.
let me
Stage
know,
is yours.
Smita, if
Yeah,
you can
thanks.
see my slides.
Ah, yes, your slide is visible. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks.
Um, so, folks, please bear with my voice. I'm not keeping very well. If my voice is going away in between, feel free to just post it in the chat. Perfect. So today we are here to celebrate all the amazing women, of course, and the beautiful community which we have. I really appreciate, and I, like always, have been part of Pune Tech community for so long. I like the enthusiasm of the whole community, starting from the organizers, Nandeep, Smita, Kunj, Siddharth, and whomsoever are helping them. Extended thanks to them. So my topic today is a little bit more on the governance side. So we majority of the time when I ask folks about, hey, you have built the agent, you have added the knowledge, your agent is working fine, but how do you know whether your agent is performing well or not? No one really cares about it, right? Because we just are focused about building agents, adding knowledge, checking whether whatever happy path scenario we wanted to achieve, we are able to do that. So that's how we get our happiness from, but that's not how it works in the real world scenarios, be it in enterprises where your agent is not just about, hey, I'll type in a prompt, I'll go ahead with the query, it is responding back with the information, but who is there to double check whether the response which you are getting are correct, are contextually right, the meaning of it is correct, or whether it is grounded, or the information which is picking up is from the knowledge it is grounded with or something else. So those all things we ideally miss out because we just want to play around with the agent, build something, and then we are done. Okay, but I'll not speak more about it right from the first slide. I'll keep my slides very intact. I mean, I do have a lot of slides. Maybe you can refer that for later on references purpose. But I'll walk you through the live demo as well. Before I move ahead, there's something which deeply resonates with me. This year's theme is Give to Gain, and for me, giving is all about whatever little bit of my 2 cents I have, whether from my experiences, from my tech world, from my personal life. I just try to give each person with something, if not more, but then at least I can give them maybe a small piece of information or knowledge or some learnings which I have come across. And then this is something which I would want everyone to start thinking from a giver's perspective and not from not from the perspective of to gain something, right? So right today, I think many of you have spent your late evening, just so that you can learn from us or learn from each other in that matter. Even I am continuously learning. So this is something similar to what we are going to learn about today, which is evaluation. And like life is also kind of a continuous feedback loop, and you can call it as continuous evaluation, where of course, I'll focus on women for now because women have been is the master of balancing things at a lot of like be it personal, professional, or a lot of other things which they keep juggling on. So this is where I would appreciate each and every woman that, hey, you're not something which you're not you don't think about or don't doubt about yourself. You are doing great job. Maybe in one or the other areas you might not be more motivated or not, you might not get more appreciations. Of course, we don't get appreciations every day, but then you yourself have to be your own cheerleader. You are the person who used to you are the one who self motivates yourself. So don't doubt yourself, don't doubt your self worth. Be whatever world has to say, you know how much things you are balancing at one point of time. And same goes for our extended community, be it men, women, gender perspective. I'm not just going to name any gender here, but then appreciate the way community comes together, helps out, be it women, men, and same extended things goes to everyone who have been supportive to each and every other person, irrespective of their gender. And please keep doing that. We need more such people, not just in the community, but across everywhere, be it in your workplace, be it in your home, just try to help them wherever possible. So happy Women's Day, and thank you so much everyone for staying till the late evening. And now I'll take a smaller, deeper route into evaluating agents in Copilot Studio. Now you might be wondering, okay, maybe you might not be much familiar with Copilot Studio. That's completely fine. But now, what exactly evaluations is? So you don't have to know everything at one go, which is like in this smaller short session. I'll try to keep it very short, very crisp and chunk, so that you can take some learnings from here, and then you can go and apply and read more about it and start exploring in your different ways wherever possible. So AI agents consider that, hey, I build something. As mentioned, let's take an example. So today I'm going to focus on one scenario which is called data and AI RFP assistant. Now, when I say RFP assistant, this is more for marketing sales team. What they do is they ideally generate the proposals, right? Be it for any case study, any scenario, any use case, they go and try to generate or work on the proposal. And they have minimal technical knowledge for the same. What happens if we create an AI agent, which is like a data and AI RFP assistant? They can use this assistant, and now they can query in information like, well, let's say, as mentioned, this is specifically for data and AI domain. Me as a marketing or salesperson, I go and then I type in saying that, hey, do we have any banking use cases in data and AI domain for the US region, for example, right? Because they might want to just go ahead and create some proposal or add some case studies relevant to that domain and show it and add that to and show it to the customers whom they are going to have a conversation with. Now, what if your AI agent does some hallucinations? So, for example, instead of getting data and AI banking related information, it gets some information. Maybe that's very superficial in nature, and that's not even data and AI. Maybe it just found a word data somewhere in some other case study, and it is giving the information about, hey, these are the data tools like Databricks, Azure Data Lake, and all those things. Well, this is not relevant at all from the case study point of view, because it is just listing down all the tools and services and technologies. But for me, who is marketing or salesperson, will I ever understand a difference? No, because for me, I'm not a tech person at all. So how will I know that, hey, this is something which is not correct? There needs to be some evaluation in place. Let's consider you add some approvals. This goes to some person who reviews it, and then it is approved. That's completely fine. That's okay. But for this particular smallest scenario, do we really want to do that job while the intent is just RAG, where we are just going to generate some information from the knowledge? No, right? Why do you want to add more overhead? We can definitely do that, but that should be ideally handled by the agent itself. So that's where evaluations come to the picture. Now, what evaluations does? So we'll go into it and have a deeper look. Just to highlight one important point, evaluations will help the agent understand or evaluate agents in the way that, hey, this is what you are going to perform, and this is your score, and this is for the developer or the person, AI engineer, is building the agent. They knows that how well my agent is performing and where I need to improve, and what are the things which is not correct, and then, oh, okay, these are not correct, let me work on it. This is like a feedback loop, as mentioned at the very start. You take the input, you take the feedback, you enforce in your agent that whatever feedback you have got, and then you retrain it, rework with it, and then again test with it. That's what evaluation is about. This is the simple agenda. Don't mind the agenda. It looks quite elaborative, but it is not, to be honest. We already spoke about why evaluation matters, and then we'll see agent evaluation life cycle, like what are the different stages, and then the life cycle includes test sets, test methods, and then how you can run those evaluations. Demo use case I already elaborated about. Simple use case about data and AI RFP assistant. And then, of course, it's not just about building agents, it's also about making those agents live production ready, and then how you can scale the quality. That's important. Scaling quality is something which we tend to miss out because we are just focused on building from A to B, the path like A to B, B to C, everything is done, my agent is ready, but is it really ready? Who knows? We never know, right? So that's where quality comes to the picture, and that's how quality keeps enhancing and improving with the evaluations. So how you can scale the AI quality of the agents, and then that's some simple slides which you can even later on look at it. Now, why evaluation matters, I'll take you to this other slide. Consider whomsoever has worked with any agentic platform, be it Foundry, you would have explored Playground, or Copilot Studio, where you just, I think, saw before my session, Soumya just built an agent where there was a test window, right? The test window, what you are doing is you are doing testing, but that testing is sufficient? No. The testing is just unit testing. What you're doing is you're typing in the prompts, queries, and then you're waiting for the response from AI. It responds back. You feel that, hey, this is good, that's done. But you are testing from your perspective. Maybe let's say I include few more users who are going to test with that agent. They'll type some queries, they'll wait for the response, and then they'll create some beautiful document called test plan. They'll work with each test case which is noted down in the test plan, and they're going to do that manually. This is a time consuming job. If we just go and rely on this simple tool with the test window, I don't think it is easy to scale with the bigger agents. When you want to test the agent with multiple knowledges coming from different ways, multiple tools involved, topics, when your agent is like really bulky, not in terms of the size of the agent, but in terms of the processes which it is performing, getting the information from one to the another, navigating from different topics, from different agent, like multi agents. So that's where your manual testing goes way behind. So how will you test? How will you perform the regression testing? How will you ensure you've covered all the test cases, be it positive, negative, mix, some out of the box ones? So that's where evaluation comes into the picture. Evaluation is kind of a tool which helps you build test cases, and it also helps you evaluate not just one by one, but with a test set. So a test set can be considered as multiple test cases combined. So we'll look at it. This is where the problem is, you now know, right? And that there was a need for evaluations. So evaluations, as mentioned, has a life cycle wherein, let's go through that life cycle in a short time. Okay, this is the life cycle of evaluation. It starts from, just keep that imagery of Copilot Studio with a test window where you are just typing in a prompt or query and you are waiting for response back. Correct? That one piece of information which you are sending in the form of query, that query can be your test case. And such test cases, when combined, maybe in multiples of 10, 20s, or hundreds, you form a test set. So that is where we are coming at. Each query, input prompt, and then the response which we get back from the agent, that's the response or expected answer. That is a test case. We'll come to it to check whether the response that is generated is right or wrong. That's something which I'll park for a few minutes. Don't worry about the response which is generated. Just keep one thing in mind, which is input prompt, and then something is returned back, of course, the response. That one particular thing is a test case. And now when we have multiple such test cases, right, that's where you define that, hey, this is the test set and this has this many test cases. So that becomes a test set. Now this test set, you take it with you, you go to the Copilot Studio, you just run evaluation. You don't have to do anything manually. This will be done automatically, kind of a job which runs right on its own. It just needs your trigger, human intervention, wherein you go, you click the button. Now, when you run it, what it will do? It will try to come up with the results. But hey, how do I evaluate results? Whether this particular test case, whatever response I've got, whether that is right or wrong. That's still something which we have to worry about. In the whole scenario of the evaluation or the anatomy, we didn't even talk about responses. How well received were the responses, whether this is right or wrong. Who is going to do that judging? Or who is going to provide me the score based on what the score is going to be provided? That's where we'll come to it. But this is what evaluation is in general. There are test sets which comprises of test cases. You run it, you get a score. That's it. Now, how are you going to evaluate that score? Let's take a look at that. I'm not going to spend more time in these slides because that's not the intent. We'll also spend few minutes for the live demo. So as I mentioned, that we need to evaluate whether whatever we are getting back is something which is correct or not, right? So how will we do that? Each test case, so each query, whatever response we are getting back from the agent needs to pass some or the other criteria, and what that criteria is. So for example, there are different test methods. Now this is where this is the core of your evaluations. Test methods are like exact match, partial match, semantic similarity, intent alignment, relevance, and completeness. Now, of course, it might be something which you all might not be aware of, but from the words of the methods itself, you might gauge the intent of each test method. So when I say exact match, it means that when I ask or when I type in a query, I should get some response which is exactly what I want. So, for example, when someone asks, um, can you name the tools and technologies in data and AI? So these are the this is the array specifically in Microsoft domain and in Azure cloud. This is what you should answer. So whenever I need exact response, that's where I need to assign the method as exact match. So whenever your test case is written saying that list down all the tools and technologies or list all the countries, all the states of India. So of course the states are defined states. It's not going to change every day. So those states you can just say exact match. Whenever someone asks states of India, this is the exact response which should be posted in users chat window. Be it Maharashtra, um, any other states, Karnataka, all the states needs to be pushed. So that's where exact match. Now partial match. So for some queries, you don't want exact match. So those queries can be like, hey, your wording can have multiple meanings, right? So that's where partial match still is sufficient, wherein your phrase is intent, meaning remains the same, but the wording can be different. So that's where partial match is. Now semantic similarity. These are all similar in nature, but it's very different when it comes to test methods or when it comes to agentic world. Semantic means the meaning should be the same irrespective of words, whatever you're using. This semantic similarity is highly used for agents where conversations are involved. So just now we saw, right, there was a agent which was grounded with a knowledge, and then of course you're not going to define the answers for each query. So what you did is, okay, this is my knowledge, whatever user query in, just go to that knowledge and then find the information. So information, if I search something related to Azure methodology, for example, I'll get a piece of information. Of course, that information is going to be right. It is going to come from my knowledge, which is grounded. While, for example, if Smita goes and types in some different query and in different way, but the intent is, okay, Azure methods and Azure maybe case studies, she would also get the knowledge or the response from the same knowledge, but the wordings can be different. While the intent, the response context remains the same. That's where semantic similarity comes into the picture. Then comes relevance and completeness, where the important thing is whatever response you're getting should be contextually right. It is not like I'm asking something about India and some my agent is responding something very vague in terms of, hey, these are the Cartoon Network channels. That's completely off track. I'm just asking about country and it is responding me with some information which is not even correct. That relevance and completeness is something which is important for each query. So it should know what your query is and then accordingly it should fetch the information. Intent alignment, again, based on the user's intent, whether I'm asking what is the weather today in Pune, and then it understands that, hey, my intent is weather. And if I just reframe something, if I'm flying through flight and I'm saying what is the weather, so the intent is again same weather. Your agent won't understand what are you trying to ask. So intent of user should be correct and then it should be picked up by your agent. So that's where these different test methods come to the picture. And this is where your scoring, which we were seeing at the end, that this is how each test set will have a metrics of how well your agent performed with each test set. That evaluation is driven by these test methods. This is something which is the core of evaluation, how you're going to evaluate, right? Responses needs to be evaluated with some framework, with some guidelines. So this is what the evaluation core is, where we are evaluating based on the different test methods. Now your concern will be how we define this. So let's go take a look at it one by one, and I'll keep this slide for reference for you all. And I've already discussed the use case, so I'm not going to take more time about it. Let me just share my screen. Let me know once you can see my screen. Smita, can you just confirm?
Not yet.
Can you see my screen?
No, Srishti.
Uh, okay. Now I am sharing. Maybe anyone in chat.
No, it's not visible.
Not visible, Srishti.
Okay, I don't know why is, but I can see I'm sharing. Wait, just give me a minute. I'll share. Yeah, some folks can see it already. Data and AI RFP assistant, Copilot Studio screen.
Still, I'm not able to see it. Navdeep, can you please confirm if you're able to see the screen? Maybe you can
Yeah,
So
just
for
give a
me,
I
thumbs up.
also
can
it's
see.
completely blank,
So for those
white
who
screen.
for whom it's blank, you guys can try to connect again on Teams. Maybe it's issue from Team side.
Network side, I think. Okay, maybe I'll go ahead then. Couple of folks can already see it. So this is the use case where the agent is very simple in nature. The intent was to test the evaluations and not build a fancy agent with a lot of processes and tasks involved. I have kept the nature of the agent simple with just added information as knowledge, and that is also a static file for now. So as you can see that this is the agent data and RFP assistant. Sorry, someone is unmuted. I'm not sure. Okay, data and AI RFP assistant. What it does is, as already elaborated, the intent of the agent is to only provide information about whether AI or data case study is the framework of data and AI in the current organization. And for proposals, I have added a simple topic. So if someone like marketing or salesperson comes into the agent and say generate executive summary, that they can pick up and then they can share it, add it to their deck, and then they can run through the customer or pre-sales call, right? That's a simple agent. Generate executive summary also is nothing but taking the input from the UI and then just passing it to generative answers, which is grounded again with the knowledge and then getting the information back. And if you look at the knowledge, it's all company data, like frameworks which the organization uses, be it for AI, for data, the case studies around AI and data, the operations, company data around the same. So everything is static, nothing else. And if I have to show you whether AI is enabled or not, just so that we are aware. So if you look at the knowledge, only from my knowledge the agent can answer, while it is not allowed to use any general knowledge, not even the web information. So that's how it is. Pretty simple. Now let me just type in a query. Help me with the different Azure methodologies. And if you notice that I have some knowledge, and let's see if it is able to answer them or not. So I was able to get some information. Here's the Azure methodologies identified in knowledge base. And then these were the couple of them that, hey, these are the some methodologies. And then from where did I get the info? The info I got from the Azure data methodology PDF file. And that's the section from where it fetched the information. So if I go to the knowledge now, so you see Azure data modernization methodology. So I did had some knowledge and then I'm getting the information. Now let's take an example, which is the financial capital of India. This is very off track, but we want to test our agent's capabilities. So let's see what it responds back with. Ideally, it should not respond. Why? Because in the instructions, it's mentioned that your objective is very clear. If the information is not found in the knowledge base, respond back with this exact information. So I exactly got that information. The requested information is not available in the current knowledge base. Now, what if I ask, what is Copilot Studio? It is technical in nature, but it's not relevant to what we have. Perfect. So it's working fine. But are these test cases sufficient enough to test my agent's behavior or quality? No, because I can only think from maybe A, B, C angle. And if I have to really test my agent, I have to do a lot of penetration with negative test cases as well, which I might not be able to do it unless I have someone who generates test sets with different test cases and saying that, hey, please test your agent with this and see how the score is. Of course, I need some help there, right? So why not enable your developers or AI engineers with evaluations as well? Now, this is where evaluations is. In the Copilot Studio window, you will see evaluations under your agents, and whenever someone is developing agent, you'll see evaluation just right after your activity, just like your other tools and topics. It's one another tab or window. Now, if you see, I have already created some test sets. I'm not going to run through them. Let's go and look at new evaluation. Now, what it does is it helps you to, if you have a bigger team where you also have some testing team involved, they do prepare your test cases, test plan, and then they add them to Excel, just like how we do, right? Regression testing. Your testers are involved, they prepare the test plans. So if you already have them, then better to get the test plans from them, and then you can maybe look at the test plans, and you can be the first person to test with all the test cases listed. How you can do that? Just upload your CSV or Excel file here, and then you're good to go. But if you aren't, or if you just want to try it by yourself, that hey, I for now we don't have any testers for doing this agentic or Copilot Studio AI agent testing. I want to do it by myself. How you can do that? You can use evaluations to also generate some question set. So if I just hit this question set, it will give me some 10 questions it has generated on its own with respect to the use case. So this is something which is very useful. So it is not generating something very generic. Of course not. Generic information or generic test cases are not needed given you're scoping this with the agent. So it knows what this agent is, it knows the instruction, it has the knowledge and everything. Now it has generated a random 10 questions for me. Can you generate an executive summary? What information do you need? If you look at each query, it's like relevant to the agent, right? But is this enough? No. So ideally, whenever you work with evaluations, you need to create test sets. Test sets in the manner this one piece can act as your one test set. Maybe you can keep adding more questions. You need 10 more. You can do that as well. Now, keep one test set which is always going to work out, and it is like a positive test set wherein almost all the queries, whatever you're going to ask, your agent is going to work seamlessly. It is going to respond back information rightly, and it is going to pass all the test cases. That is like all pass one. Other is your all negatives, wherein you create a test set which with all the test cases which are like very weird, very out of the box or hallucinated, a mix of hallucinations in nature. So what you will do is you'll also test your agent with all the different ones and see whether for some or the other ones it is responding or not. If it is responding for one or two, then that is a chance or scope for you as a developer and as an AI engineer to go in, fine tune your solution better so that it doesn't take any of those queries as well, right? So for example, if some meaning was not correct and it took something else, and then your information which you're getting is irrelevant, so that's where you're going to check whether content filters were applied or not. So all those things come into it later on once you test your agent with different cases. The other set is surprise your agent. So for example, one is all pass, one is all negative, the other is surprise element, wherein you're asking all the, or wherein your test cases are all random, not relevant to the topic ones. So for example, I'm checking about India, I'll check about, oh, which is the favorite fruit. Just giving you an example, not something similar, but that's where you have to check whether agent is still responding, what is the behavior of the agent, how is the response looking like, and so on and so forth. So that's how you're going to generate the test sets. Now let's take an example and stick to this test set for now. You see this query, see this question. This question is going to be tested around general quality. Now, how do you fix this? How do I go and say that, hey, for this particular query, I want that my agent should respond exactly what I'm drafting here. And for this one, it should respond generic. Yeah, that's fine because for every AI agent grounded with knowledge, your test method should be general quality. This is mostly related to semantic similarity. So it should go to the knowledge, fetch the information, doesn't matter exact match or not. The information should be relevant. So this is where you select the test methods. These are the different test methods. General quality, comparing the meaning, keyword match, which is like keyword should match, text similarity, exact match, and capability use. So capability use is something which you wouldn't have found in my deck, but this is where whenever your agent is using tools, topics, that's where capability use should be used. So if I select this one, which means for this particular query, your agent will go and it should trigger the topic and then see the inside orchestration of the topic, and it should perform all that, and it should wait for user. Maybe if, when you're asking question to the user, user should respond back with some information. So how will the evaluation know whether this particular query is going to be triggered from topic, or this is something which I should respond back with? So that's where capability use comes into the picture. So keep that in mind. And this is something new, newly added. You can just generate your own classifications for different labels. So it's pretty much new, but these are the some simple test methods. It sounds simple in nature, but then I already told you there is a deeper meaning to it, because this is what it is going to score. It is going to score around. So for now, let's keep general quality for all, and I'll say that data and AI. Sorry, this is not what I wanted to do. Evaluation 2026 March. I'm just going to segregate my stuff so that I don't miss up March 4th. So I'm just going to test around general quality, no other thing, and it is going to test using my profile. I'll hit save. There's one way to generate the questionnaire, but there are multiple other ways as well so that you can generate a test set. Let's give it a moment to save, and then we'll quickly run the evaluation, and it will take few seconds to run, and then you'll get a scorecard matrix of how it was performing. So I'll just evaluate. In the meantime, this is evaluating. Let's quickly go. I know I'm already running on top, but I just need few more minutes. If you are fine, maybe we'll just take 5 more minutes. So in the new evaluation, you can manually also create your questions and then tag the test methods, and you can evaluate that way. But there is another way in which you can test. So for example, just like what we did, right? In the test window, we started doing some sample unit testing. Now, what if I want my agent to take all these queries and also use them in my as my test case? So you do that as well. And what you have to do is you have to just say use your test chat conversation. So if you look at this now, let's close this one by one and see this. What is the financial capital of India? What is Copilot Studio? So just two queries it was able to take, but not all. So to do that, what you have to do is you just have to start typing in queries, and then you have to hit the button evaluate. And then once you hit that button, all these chats it will take as part of the test case. And when I say all these, it also takes the responses. So you have to ensure to delete them. Okay. So whenever you do that, ensure to delete all the responses. Otherwise, that will also be taken as a test case. So after it is done, you ensure to tag with a different test method, and then create a test set if you want to, and evaluate based on your test scenarios which you have added in the test window. It's not just that, hey, I did something, maybe I used test chat queries and I can't do anything else. You can also add your own queries on top of it. You can also generate something from AI. That's all open. It's not restricted. So you can add more queries to it as well, and then you can hit and then you can run evaluations. So in the meantime, I think our evaluations would have been ran. So let's take a look at the evaluation which we just created. See, the 4th March, this one, and it has passed 50% score. 50%, there are some negatives there. So what didn't went well? So you see the passes one, I got the information. The failed one, oh, no, this is not right. I want to start over with a new RFP. How do I do that? and there was no topic relevant to it, but there was out of the box topic start over. It hit that, but it's not correct, and it says that it seems irrelevant. And now, if even if you see here, the general quality check, how was it analyzed? It seemed relevant, it seemed complete, and it was from the knowledge. So if you look at it, the references are also mentioned. And while all the others, can you provide a summary? Mm-mm, it didn't ran. It should ideally go to my topic. Can you boost the response quality using the latest knowledge? Of course, this is not relevant, so it's fine. Something went wrong. Evaluating this didn't trigger. So majority of them didn't work, while two of them did work. So this is where even when your AI is not able to respond back and it errors out, you know that okay, such cases you need to handle. This is one example which I have showcased. This is, of course, it needs more refinement. And then the better usage of is, as mentioned, create different test sets, segregate them, and then test them all together. I mean, all together as in test different test sets, and then evaluate the score just like how we did the evaluation. And the evaluation is based on, as mentioned, test methods. So check, ensure that you are tagging right test methods, and don't leave everything to general quality. Of course, for some of them it might pass, for some it might not be relevant. So it might fail or it might just not give you the right score. So this is how you can use evaluations for checking the quality of how well your agent is performing. And please don't take this lightly. Whenever you start building on any AI agents, ensure that you're also evaluating the AI agents by evaluations, and do keep a check of these scores. Of course, it's like very easy to build, and then you keep forgetting it. You just leave it back, and then you are like, hey, my agent is performing well. But is that production ready? Do you have that answer? Yes or no? How will you get that answer when you run the evaluations? And then you really test how good your AI agent is in terms of performance, in terms of security. So that's utmost important. And then before I leave, I'll just quickly run through last couple of slides. So this is the scorecard which you've already checked, right? It was checking against each test method, you get the score. That's something similar in nature. While this is important, evaluation doesn't stop you from building agents. Evaluations acts as a feedback loop, as I've been iterating right from the very start. So this is very important for your agent quality. So consider this as a feedback loop. You build something, you refine it, test again with the evaluations, and then hey, whatever results you get, you know, right, that that's something which you need to work on. And you are the main key person, whoever is building that. By you, I mean the AI engineer or developer. They are the people who should be accountable to check whether how relevant or how good of a quality your agent is. So if at all your scores are like above 80 or above 85, of course you know that hey, this something is performing well, but there are chances of refining it further. But that's completely up to the team and the AI engineer and developer. While if it is performing straight like below 70 or below 60, you already know you need to work more on it. You need to improvise, refine, be it instructions, be it knowledge, in terms of topics, whatever you have built, you need some improvement in your agent. That's an alarming or a kind of a reminder for your AI engineer that I need to work more on it. It's not ready. So take it as feedback loop. Not, don't stop building agents. This is not something which you should stop doing. But when you build agent, ensure that you also test it well. You also test the quality. Now, how will you scale? I've already elaborated enough. So scaling is not about building more agents. It's about building one agent, but that agent should be robust enough, secured enough that is performing well. So this is how you are going to scale it with the different data sets, with the different test sets as mentioned, with a lot of regression testing, either with tools like evaluation or even with a testing team who is going to test, or maybe some even more different automations which you can come up with. You can do that as well. And reevaluation, of course, whatever results you're getting from evaluation, refine it. So evaluation becomes the important guardrail for your enterprise governance. This you won't, as a developer, see that much effect, but from the enterprise perspective, you would know that there is a bigger impact for each agent. Okay, so we are good, I think, and I'll just leave with the conclusion. And this is just me who has related the evaluation with women's working every day. So this is the conclusion based on evaluations is also uh, women working across. So don't consider feedback whichever you're getting. Don't take it too much seriously. Of course, feedback is something which we all learn from, but irrespective of whatever is been given, you know that you are doing a great job. And similar to AI agents, I can't say that for AI agents because AI agent needs refinement, of course, and then you can your AI agents will also perform well in quality when you correct correct or rectify with the evaluation scores and keep refining it further. So you can go ahead and start testing and start using the tools like evaluation in your Copilot Studio. Maybe if you have any queries or anything, I can take it up, or I think I've ran over time. Thank you so much, Smita, Nandeep, Kunsh, Siddharth. Always appreciate coming up with amazing events like this one, and looking forward to a couple of more events in future. And thank you so much the amazing audience for staying till the end and learning from each one of us.
Thank you so much, Srushti, for sharing all this